A top diver ventured into an underwater cave to conduct a mapping survey, but just as he finished his mission and prepared to return, the cave ceiling suddenly collapsed, sealing off the only exit. At the same time, a massive amount of mud and sand churned up, plunging the entire passage into pitch-black darkness in an instant. The critical issue was that the air in his tank was running dangerously low. In a panic, he hurriedly turned around and swam deeper, desperately trying to find another way out, triggering a massive rescue operation across Europe in what became known as the Gourneyras Cave Diving Incident. Located in the Ardèche Gorge of France, the Gourneyras Cave looks like an ordinary small body of water from the outside, but underneath, it connects to a complex labyrinth-like cave system, reaching a maximum depth of 78 meters and expanding horizontally for 1,040 meters, with the structure of the deeper passages remaining unknown. On October 3, 2010, French cave surveying expert Eric Establie took on the mission of exploring the uncharted territory at the far end of the cave, arriving at the entrance at 11:30 a.m. with two companions who stayed above water to support his solo 6 to 8 hour dive. Since 2008, only about 420 meters of the cave had been mapped, and Eric was tasked with surveying the extensions beyond that point, using a closed-circuit rebreather to handle the deep dive and avoid kicking up the thick mud and sand lining the increasingly narrow, siphon-like passages. Everything went smoothly at first. Eric quickly reached the target area, successfully laid down a new guideline, confirmed the existence of an unexplored cave system at the 1,040-meter mark, and began his return journey after logging his data. Geologists had previously theorized that the Gourneyras Cave, formed by long-term groundwater erosion, likely contained breathable air pockets. But its fatal flaw was a highly unstable geological structure prone to collapsing if disturbed from the outside. The accident struck when Eric reached the 780-meter mark on his way back. Without any warning, the passage ahead caved in right before his eyes, blocking the only route with massive boulders while stirred-up sediment instantly blinded the entire tunnel. Heartbreakingly, Gourneyras is a single-entry, single-exit underwater cave with no other escape routes, and the shadow of death quickly closed in on Eric. 10 hours later, his teammates waiting outside realized something was terribly wrong, knowing his air supply couldn't last that long, and immediately called for help. By 10:30 p.m. that night, the first team of professional cave rescue divers arrived, only to find the underwater conditions far worse than expected, with near-zero visibility forcing them to blindly feel their way forward. After reaching a decompression stop at 52 meters without finding any trace of Eric or his gear, the team had to turn back due to the extreme risks and unknown conditions ahead, leading everyone to realize Eric was likely trapped deep within the cave, leaving them to pray those theoretical air pockets actually existed. Early on October 4th, the French Cave Rescue Association issued an urgent Europe-wide call for help, and reinforcements quickly poured in. By evening, the command center decided to send 2 British divers to the end of the mapped zone to search for Eric. On October 5th, equipped with emergency thermal gear and a through-rock communication system, they reached the 780-meter mark only to face a suffocating sight. The narrow passage was completely choked with crushed rock, though they did find an underwater scooter jammed in the crevices. This discovery sparked hope on the surface, with experts guessing Eric had tried to dig his way out, but, unable to move the massive debris, wedged the scooter there as a signal that he was alive, couldn't get through, but had found a safe shelter. After this brief wave of excitement, the command center determined that directly clearing the blockage was impossible due to the risk of secondary cave-ins, so they launched a 3-pronged rescue plan, waiting for the water sediment to settle so Swiss divers could search for bypass crevices, searching for natural sinkholes above ground to drill a micro-explosive shaft past the blockage, and exploring nearby water bodies for connecting branch caves. By October 8th, surface simulations were still showing optimistic outcomes despite the fading time, and on the afternoon of October 9th, the British team dove back to the blockage and made a shocking discovery. A complete scuba tank was now wedged in the rubble. The command center mistakenly believed it was Eric's tank, since it wasn't there during the previous dive, meaning he was still alive days after the collapse and strong enough to leave a signal, causing the entire camp to erupt in cheers. However, after double-checking, It turned out to be a tank urgently ditched by the French rescue team days earlier due to a minor secondary rockfall. Despite this agonizing mix-up, the team worked through the night to optimize their plan. On October 11th, 2 elite British divers using side-mount gear managed to squeeze through a gap in the collapsed zone into much clearer water. But after swimming just over 70 meters, they found Eric's body resting silently in the rocky depths at the 850-meter mark. This devastating outcome shattered all hope, turning the rescue into a recovery mission. But because the 2 divers couldn't clear the rocks and the risk of a secondary collapse was too high, they made the heavy decision to leave his body behind, retrieving only his dive watch to investigate the cause of the tragedy. On October 12, 2010, authorities officially abandoned the recovery of Eric's body permanently. The data from his dive watch revealed a cruel truth. On the very first day of the collapse, Eric had run out of air and drowned. And later, geological surveys confirmed there were absolutely no dry air pockets in the Gourneyras Cave, proving the rescuers' earlier hopes were just empty theories. To this day, Eric's remains rest in that narrow, watery passage, an underwater maze he mapped with his own hands. Many might ask why these explorers willingly face such uncontrollable, deadly risks, but the answer is quite simple. Those dark subterranean spaces hold the secrets of Earth's evolution, and the boundaries of human knowledge are expanded inch by adventurers exactly like him.